Good morning. We will look at the essay In Praise of Ignorance by Hilaire Belloc. The full name of Hilaire Belloc is Joseph Hilaire Pierre Belloc. First, a look at Hilaire Belloc's biography. The French-born English writer Joseph Hilaire Pierre Belloc, whose dates are 1870, that is, he was born in 1870 and he died in 1953, was a noted poet, historian, essayist, and novelist. Throughout his literary career, he was concerned with the problems of social reform. Hilaire Belloc was born in Saint Cloud, France, on July 27, 1870. He was the son of Louis Belloc, a French lawyer, and Bessie Raynor Parks, his English wife. Political disorders sent the family to England later that year, and Hilaire was educated at the Oratory School in Birmingham. As a boy, he was a precocious poet, artist, and mathematician. He graduated from Balliol College, Oxford, where he had won a scholarship in history. Belloc began his literary career with verses and sonnets, 1895. In 1896, he married the American Elodie Hogan, and they had 3 children. That same year, he published The Bad Child's Book of Beasts, which, together with Cautionary Tales and More Beasts for Worse Children, formed a collection destined to become a classic. In 1899, Belloc began a series of biographies which included 2 French revolutionaries, Danton 1899 and Robespierre 1901, and many eminent literary and political figures of France and England. In 1902, he published Path to Rome, which is perhaps his most characteristic work in that it reveals his love of travel, gentle humor, and staunch Roman Catholicism. During these years, Belloc also became very active in political life. He became a British citizen in 1902, and in 1906 he was elected to Parliament. In 1910, he abandoned political office for journalism, which he felt was a more effective means of achieving reform. He joined with Cecil Chesterton in writing articles attacking imperialism and corruption in political life. In 1912, Belloc published The Servile State, which outlined his anti-social and anti-capitalist philosophy of distributism. His views are shared by G.K. Chesterton, and they founded the political weekly New Witness to press forward the fight for reform. In the following years, Belloc continued to publish prolifically. In 1942, he suffered a stroke, and though he wrote magazine articles occasionally, he published no more books. He died in 1953 from accidental burns. Now, the summary of the essay on ignorance by Hilaire Belloc. In On Ignorance by Hilaire Belloc, we have the theme of ignorance, passion, deflection, shame, appearance, tomfoolery, and after reading the essay, it becomes clear to the reader that Belloc is exploring the theme of passion. Should an individual find themselves ignorant of facts among an audience of others, Belloc believes passion is a pure solution to any embarrassment that may be felt. He considers it appropriate for the individual to quickly take exception to criticism and to do so with great bouts of passion. In doing so, the reality is that the person is really deflecting their ignorance away from themselves, allowing for themselves to have some breathing space and to lighten any burdensome load they might feel on discovery that they are ignorant of a topic. Another deflection tool used by Belloc is for a person to change the subject as quickly as possible in the hope that they may diffuse the perceived aggression that is heading their way. When the reality is even, Belloc agrees that at times everybody is ignorant of and about something. Another method of deflection is to joke about what has occurred, hoping that one eventually exhausts their opponent while at the same time keeping the upper hand, which may suggest that appearance is important when it comes to the matter of being ignorant. Nobody wishes to be made a fool of or scorned upon by a colleague, particularly if their colleague is highlighting the individual's ignorance and how they should feel ashamed about being so ignorant. It would appear as though people who attack another person for their lack of knowledge or ignorance with regard to a subject forget that they themselves may not necessarily be well informed on other topics. It is as though an individual who attacks another is thinking only of their own self importance. Rather than explaining themselves to the person, they choose to assassinate a person's character. The fact that one might feel ashamed by their lack of knowledge shows or highlights the importance of society's opinion with regard to matters. Sometimes ignorance can be blissful, though unfortunately we do not live in a society in whereby the individual is allowed to be ignorant of the facts. They are judged socially by their peers for their lack of knowledge and understanding of a subject. Yet they may have no need to know about the subject. It may be an irrelevancy to their life. What is also interesting about the essay is that Belloc does not appear to believe that an individual has a right to be ignorant of the facts on certain topics. It is as though a man or woman needs to adapt themselves to the circumstances they find themselves in and revert to learning what others know, rather than learning what he himself may wish to know. Without following the rule of others, there does not seem to be a path that is independent of others that an individual might follow. As to why this is, it's difficult to say. Perhaps an individual is afraid in company to admit to not knowing what is what when it comes to a certain topic or issue. Most issues are irrelevant to a person's daily life and do not affect them. However, as soon as they are discovered to be ignorant, things change dramatically. A combination of both fear and embarrassment result in the individual changing his behavior to suit his environment. Though it is understandable as nobody wishes to be made a fool of or have their ignorance exposed publicly. In reality, none of Belloc's solutions are satisfactory and leave an individual rooted or tied down to convention. It would be better for an individual to be carefree and not feel pressurized by society's views on the importance of issues. Again, if a man or woman can be independent of others, they will live a far happier life. This does not mean that a person should isolate themselves from their peers, but rather, if they admit to not knowing what a topic and suggesting to their counterpart that they have no interest in knowing, it is left to the counterpart to decide upon whether he or she wishes to prolong a friendship. It would seem a pity for a person to be ostracized, meaning to be removed from a social group, just because they haven't read the same books as another person. Some people are readers while others are doers, and some may be quite prepared to comfortably sit on the fence. Nobody should be alienated because of their lack of knowledge in one topic, for they might very well be well versed in another, something that Belloc believes an individual should use in their defense, when really there is no need for a person to defend their position. With this, we finish with the essay In Praise of Ignorance by Hilaire Belloc. Thank you.